So what is an energetic SOS? So that is terminology that I like to use based on an imprint that your body gives off when you are experiencing some kind of extreme emotion. So that could be based in happiness, a wedding day, falling in love with someone. Now those are really wonderful SOSs, but an SOS that is seen on the other spectrum would be an SOS based in trauma or based in sadness. So what happens is your body gives off this imprint, and what it ends up turning into like a call. So then your guardians will come in to answer that call, and that's who I have a conversation with when I see an SOS. Now, sometimes an SOS is given by someone who is in the spirit realm, but sometimes an SOS is given by someone who's actually alive. So for example, if my mother was driving and she were to hit an icy patch on the road and she'd have a moment of panic, that could give off an imprint, an energetic imprint that an intuitive or a seer like myself can pick up on. So how do I use my information of seeing an SOS in a session? What ends up coming in is an imprint. So let's say, for example, I'm having a session with someone who is experiencing emotional grief over the loss of their husband. What I would do is I would follow that SOS, and that SOS has a chord. That chord takes me into the timeline of everything that is connected to that. So sometimes that timeline might show me you at a very specific age. Sometimes that timeline might show me some choices that you were making in the past that kind of led up to the way that you're feeling now. So I take note of what I'm seeing in an SOS to give me more information in your present state being. If I'm in a session with someone and I pick up on an SOS, it's really interesting because you can't hide from an SOS. There are so many times when an SOS will come in and I'll confront the person with the information and they'll say, no, that's not a thing for me. But an SOS never lies. And when I look in on someone, for me, when I see truth is like these two beams of light that shine off of their shoulders. And if they're being untruthful, then it looks like that beam of light gets smudged. So I look at the SOS and I'm talking to the person, and if they might be in a state of denial, I can say, well, you're actually not being very truthful in this moment, even though they're defending that untruth. What I try to do is to find the right words to get them to understand what's going on. So if I see a certain SOS that gives me information and they're still not getting it, then I have to find a different SOS. Okay, so this one didn't work, let me go find a different one. Got it. This one is between the ages of 13 and 15. You're having a conversation with this individual. It led you to feel the way that you are feeling now. Let's bring that up, and most of the time that person will say, oh, that actually makes much more sense. So again, I follow these SOSs to give you more clarity on where the person is feeling and responding in the moment. Let me give you an example of an SOS. One night I was getting ready to go to bed and I was lying down and I turned off my light, and right before I was falling asleep and I had just closed my eyes, there was someone standing next to my bed. And I knew that there was someone standing next to my bed, and I turn on my light and I see a boy who is approximately 13 years of age. And he's standing next to my bed and he's panicking. And I know that what I'm picking up on is an SOS, someone who is experiencing panic. Now, by looking at him, I could tell you exactly what he was wearing. He was wearing a black shirt with a circle on it that had a bright unicorn with a rainbow mane. And he was brown skinned, and he told me his first and his last name, which is a little unusual. So I'm looking at this little boy saying, so what is going on? You're having some panic. And this little boy currently was actually alive. He had not passed on in the spirit world. He was actually still alive. But being in a moment of panic, he was sending out this echo that I picked up on. So then I talk to that echo, and that echo gives me insight of the boy's mind. I can see like the decisions he's making now, and I can see his connection to his soul energy. So I'm technically having a connection with his soul energy, that higher version of him. So I see this little boy and I ask what's going on. And he says, well, I'm locked in a basement. And I was a little surprised by that, and I'm saying, and actually I'm saying all of these things non-verbally. You say it with your mind's eye. And I say to him, well, why are you in this basement? And he says, I've been locked in here for 3 days. And then he says, my mom has put me in here. And immediately I could see that this was a young boy, 13 years of age, that identified as gay. So then I quickly look in on the mother, and I could see by following her SOS of fear, not knowing what to do, I get insight on the mom that takes me way back into her early years of what led her up to the decision she made to put her son in the basement for 3 days. Now, I didn't know what to do. I felt very panicked, so I went online, and he had given me his first and his last name, and I found him. And in his profile picture on Instagram, he was wearing the exact same thing that he was wearing in my room, a black shirt with a circle on it with a rainbow, with a unicorn with a rainbow mane. That is an SOS.